better take this as some serious like motivation or momentum, and then win their next two, right? Which is possible. It just, yeah, it's still pretty kind of new.
I'm mostly with you on it. I think the one reason why I feel a little bit more strongly about like, and I was talking about this with Strange specifically, is all three of his losses have come from like the players that everyone was just like, these players advance out of the group, right? It's like a question of fourth place. So I feel like his journey is literally about like, this is the beginning of his actual journey in the group now.
Yeah, I think that is fair for him, considering who he's played already. But we'll talk about that in a second. Let's do the intros. Top right for Alien Esports, he is MilkiCow.
And further into the bottom left-hand side, we have the blue Protoss player. He is Strange. He's going to be going up against a strange build.
Well,
not actually that strange. It's actually a pretty common thing.
I know. Like, proxy is like, what else is new? He's going to see the Liz proxy. He just doesn't know where it is, and that is a bummer because he was so close to finding it. And knowing what exactly type of proxy it is, you know, because if two gases, it does mean that it's usually Reaper or maybe Marauder, but it, you know, no proxy T-Rex Marine, sure. It still would be nice to know where it is and how committed it is, so that you can either maybe get a Zealot, yes, or don't bother with a Zealot. Because if it's right up against your third, maybe get a Zealot. If it's up against MilkiCow's third, is it really a proxy?
Yeah. Looks like he is going to start up that Zealot. And another key part of this, as the Protoss players, you want to scout and see with that probe, did they get the factory back at home? But interestingly enough, Strange sends his probe all the way over toward the third base location of MilkiCow. And I don't believe he stuck around long enough to actually see the factory plop on down back at home. So I think it's probably what you would assume happens, but it's not necessarily a guarantee.
It's true. Yeah, it's not a guarantee. I mean, we did have someone proxy every single building. So, yeah, it's a little sus, but you're right. It is usually factory, so Strange is kind of just assuming. And he's gonna proxy. Is he gonna proxy a Stargate? So this seems like a, you know what? It seems like something where Strange said, you know what? Why not? Why don't I proxy a Stargate? As it does seem a little late. But I don't mind the idea at all, and it will time out with his gas at the very least. Zealot will cause some distraction. Not a whole lot, but some. And then the Adept, I don't think the Adept actually goes across the map. Not against two Reapers and a Hellion, but anything to, wait, no, it's a gateway.
Yeah.
What? Okay.
You know, if for some reason Strange thinks there's not going to be any bunker coming on up behind all of this, I can kind of get behind it, just because if you think about like how things open up, the barracks has to float all the way back home. There's a delay in production. Maybe the Terran player feels like he's just okay because he's got these aggressive units moving across the map, so surely you have to stay at home, which, well, I mean, if there's not any probes really at the bottom of the ramp mining, there's not that much danger you're really in. So I kind of wonder, can you get something done over here? I say that, but I also see a Banshee with Cloak in production, which is a very fascinating choice.
That is an interesting choice, and one that is going against what Strange is doing.
Yeah.
There's 2 out of 3 options for the, well, 2 out of 4 options for the Protoss, I guess, provide detection. So Robo and Stargate, and we have Twilight Council not providing it, and just Gateways also not providing detection. So this is a best case scenario for MilkiCow. I mean, I think you're right about as far as, you know, kind of playing into the idea that a Terran would think I'm in control. This guy definitely isn't going to attack me if I'm going to be attacking him first. So they won't build a bunker, and we don't have a bunker, and it's not going to complete anytime soon. But yeah, the Banshee doesn't have Cloak. It doesn't have Cloak. Doesn't have Cloak. Doesn't have Cloak. Ugh. Okay, and a tank on the way. More specifically, should mean that Strange is just. It feels like he's going to be out of luck.
Yeah, you'd think so. He is going to continue to warp in some more units over here, and surely yes. Like with a siege tank, there's no way you can bust on up, but Strange sticks around a little bit longer, takes an extra shot, and nearly loses yet another Stalker. He also lost 2 additional probes to the Reaper on the other side of the map. So, I mean, you absolutely need to deny the natural, right? Like, that is a minimum here. But you also have to be aware of the fact that there's now Cloak Banshees out. That's already kind of a weird thing. You need that Observer. The Robo is only about, like, just finishing up. The Banshee's already across the map at this point, almost.
He's gonna have to pull his natural probes to the shield battery, but it is an option, so that's not too bad as of yet. It's going to be annoying maybe later if the Banshees survive, because 2 Banshees come in, you don't have Blink to chase them down or get their ASAP, suddenly you lose 5 probes every single time. That's a little more worrying. But we're not there yet. Banshee is being used back at home to help defend. Not quite going to get that tank and take a loss of Stalkers for it. Yeah, I would save this Banshee. 100%. Save it, save it, save it.
Yep. We'll be able to get out into the dead air space and survive and just be annoying, right? Just its existence is kind of like a loaded up medevac. Come back in at any given moment, just be annoying later on. So, but the other Banshee also able to move across the map since MilkiCow was finally able to establish a natural. I mean, at the end of the day, MilkiCow did take some losses here and there, and Cloak Banshees are a good harassment and annoying, but they're not exactly like these are the power units you want in the super late game, right?
No, they certainly aren't. They don't really have anything to say about a mid to late game TVP, but they can distract. They can open up opportunities on the front line, and this is almost going back to a previous meta years ago where the Banshees were literally just built, well, mostly built, not just, but they were built a lot of the time to be the distraction. Then they might pair up with the frontal attack, or they might just straight up kill 20 probes and win the game without anyone else's help, but they are a distraction. Strange has to be kept back at home. Even if he wasn't, it's not like he has Blink. So he wouldn't have been able to stall this push anyways. And this is a really great decision from MilkiCow. Would he have still been okay if he played out a macro game? I think so. But this might actually be a way to win the game straight up.
Yeah, this is already becoming pretty problematic here for Strange. Shield battery unpowered, so no shield battery overcharge available. Blink still on its way to finish up. And I want to note, these Marines have not had Stim just yet, but by the time Blink finishes, Stim will actually be done, which really complicates matters even further. It looks like there is a shield battery further back inside the mineral line you can rely on, but this is getting scary with more bunkers being thrown up too.
Yeah. And the more I think about it, the more I think I would have liked MilkiCow doing either one option. Like, either he macros, and I think he's ahead because the technology is just so far ahead. The pacing of this game's better for the Terran. Or he does this and wins as well. Tanks on the backside are being tackled by the Zealots, but slow Zealots. They do grab 2. And maybe that'll be enough. Yeah, this last tank is going to go down, but 4 Stalkers and an Immortal against, what, 10 Marines. Where's the shield battery? It's in the way back.
Yeah, I mean, Strange still gets this, right? He's going to lose the Observer, which definitely sucks. But if you think about it, he kept his 3rd base alive. He takes out a vast majority of the army over here, and he gets a Blink. Losing a lot of the Stalkers of the Widowmine does sting quite a bit. And, oh, he really doesn't want to lose that Immortal, although it is on the retreat. It is going to get focus fire down. It does go down, and now the Stalkers aren't really enough firepower to deal with things. Things escalated really quickly from those Widowmine, Zombie Grub.
I mean, it was obviously really great of MilkiCow to get those 2 freebies, but even without the Widow Mines, we're still talking about a Protoss player who might have a 3rd Nexus, but doesn't have enough probes to outpace the Terran player. They have Blink, but not Charge. They don't have any upgrades on the way, and we know how much bio with medevacs outpace just regular old gateway units. So I think no matter how you slice it, MilkiCow is always going to have a good time in this game. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I would say maybe he could have been overly aggressive, but clearly not, because this is about as aggressive as you can get, and he's still doing totally fine, almost doubling the supply of Strange, continuing to keep him away from his 3rd Nexus, so that little squad of Marines might actually kill the entire thing.
These Widow, oh my god, the retarget fire on these Widow Mines repeatedly from MilkiCow, trying to delay and just force those Stalkers to stick around and take damage, not actually be able to blink and escape on out of there. At the end of the day, Strange still does get a vast majority of the army cleaned up, but here comes round 2, and this one actually has Marauders. The Widow Mine's actually going off on some of these units. Strange actually might have this until some more reinforcements arrive.
Yeah, 2 Immortals going to pack a punch against a mostly Marauder army at this point, but it still is a matter of just MilkiCow, you know, maybe boost those medevacs back home and regroup before you do let too much go. Yeah. But otherwise, you are on 3 bases, higher worker count than the Protoss. Not quite 3 orbitals, to be fair, but, you know, 5 barracks production is about to be set up as well. And Strange, you know, he's got to know that he's really, really behind, so he went Dark Shrine. And let's see how much that can complicate matters, as we don't have any missile turrets. We do have a scan, though.
Yep, scan available at the natural. Another orbital command going to be finishing up at the 3rd base, so 2 scans should be available, and there are DTs in 2 different places. Scan in the main base is going to try and catch one of the DTs, and it does get cleaned up, but scan at the natural now going to be popping on down. I think the DTs can both get away, and well, there's actually going to be a little bit of time before the next scan's available now.
Yeah, that's a good point. The third orbital already used it. Natural main. Yeah, it's this is quite the disruption. And if MilkiCow had been a bit worse than a lot of these other engagements, a little bit worse, every other engagement that has happened, there's been like 10, right? A little bit worse for MilkiCow, and 16 SCVs are killed, and Strange might have found his ticket back into the game. As it is, MilkiCow did have pretty darn good engagements prior to this. He was in a good position prior to this. So these ETs, it's great they did something. They're doing quite a bit. There's a lot of scans, not mules. SCVs went down. It's still not enough. Strange just has a garbage supply for someone who's working off of gateway units.
Yeah, I think the hope over here for Strange was that he was going to use the DTs to basically do damage and also buy himself time. And the problem is he's no longer buying himself time. He was trying to get up the robotics bay. He was trying to get up some transitionary stuff, but it's just the cost of the DTs. There's still a lot of gas, so you have to delay all that a little bit longer. And did the DTs buy enough time? The answer is kind of no. Like, the army, like you said, for Strange is still really, really small. And you can see it's just shield battery overcharge doesn't actually even make that much of a difference over here.
Just targeting down everything. It's going to be enough again to hold on. Second shield battery is going to finish up, but where are the power units? The next Immortal is coming out here, but it's not going to be arriving in time by the looks of things. And I think his Colossus might start afterwards. But is that going to be enough either? No, it's not going to be enough. It really is a bizarrely close game, though, because as much as MilkiCow has always been in a very comfortable supply lead, and as much as I've been kind of like, yeah, but, so I've been the Debbie Downer here, you imagine, you know, if Strange cleared up anything a bit faster, a bit better, then suddenly his third Nexus is actually building probes instead of having himself blocked off by those Widow Mines, right? That alone would have been a huge deal, 30 extra seconds of building probes and actually mining, plus the DTs doing their damage, a couple of the Immortals saved earlier on, something like that. And we're talking about a very clumsy game that could sway one way or the other. The MilkiCow, he did have the advantage, and he kept it, so good on him.
Yeah, well done. I think almost a little bit incidental the way that things worked out, where it was the proxy gate choice that we ended up seeing coming out of Strange over the third base, while MilkiCow was going for Cloak Banshees. It's like two kind of odd decisions, and interacted in a very funky way that I think MilkiCow is probably pretty happy with how it all panned out.
Yeah, and just to be clear here, Strange, there is a very good chance that Strange would have gone up against someone who is trying to Hellion follow-up or Widowmine follow-up. And overwhelming that is not that difficult, because of course these would be Widow Mines without, you know, the armor without the cloak. So you would just be able to overpower a Terran who has really no fighting units. And while Banshees are also more harassment units than they are fighting units, the tricky thing is they do have cloak. But most importantly, he was getting to a tank. He wasn't spending time building non-combative units. So yeah, Strange's idea works against one follow-up, or, you know, a couple follow-ups, I'm sure, of the proxy barracks. It really didn't work out against the one that MilkiCow chose.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate, and kind of, it's funny that the game was pretty chaotic with a lot of like interesting or different than the norm choices from both players. So what's cool is that we get to move into game number 2, and we can pretty much, I don't want to say 100% guarantee, but like 99.9% guarantee that game doesn't happen again, Zombie Grab.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not. I will bet $100. I will catch this up. It will not happen again. Top right, down a game. He is the blue Protoss, Strange.
And here in the bottom left, we have a red Terran player sitting up 1-0. It's MilkiCow. Alien Esports.
Yeah.
Ironically, not the alien in this game.
Well, alien to the Protoss player.
That's true. You know, it does bring up the whole point of like, Protoss speak English. That's a little weird, right? Surely they would have their own word for, you know, aliens.
The assumption has always been that universal translators are just there, right?
Actually, Protoss, I guess, are the ones that get away with it because they talk through telepathy, right? They don't actually talk with their mouths, really. Yeah,
but that's still, like, you know, language is not just our speech. Otherwise, mute people would be having quite a trouble.
Yeah. Huh. It's an interesting thought.
I know, right?
Zergs do have their own, like, grunting and growling kind of language. Like, they actually don't just speak English for the most part.
No, they don't. But it really doesn't make any sense because the idea of the universal translator being available is a thing in sci-fi. Usually that makes a lot of sense when they've already met a bajillion civilizations. You know, the fact that none of these races really knew about each other. Well, Protoss and Zerg did, but the Terran were complete unknowns. Doesn't make any sense as to why they would be able to communicate. Yeah,
I do remember in Brood War Camp, or like StarCraft 1 campaign, they definitely have like, what is that? Like, what are these things? So yeah, it should have been a new concept. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. You know what? Maybe the Zergs infested enough units that they learned the language. There you go.
That makes sense, actually. I would be absolutely on board with that. But you can't salvage the Protoss situation.
Or Abathur is just like, you know, mutation successful. Discover new languages, vocal cords adjusted.
Yeah. I thought I had an idea for the Protoss learning language, but I didn't. Never mind. So, someone in chat's going to come in. They're going to have read all the books.
The Red Gunner guy is going to come in, have a whole podcast on it.
Yes, exactly. Anyways, we do have a not proxy game this time around. MilkiCow is going to go for a high ground expansion as he goes into Hellions, though. So definitely a safe opener from him. And with MilkiCow having to deal with a gas deal, I guess he would have been maybe a little nervous about what that meant. But I wanted to... Oh, Twilight Council and Robo off 2 base. Oh, and a proxy starport. Okay. Yep. All right.
Yeah, it literally you said we have not a proxy and then starport dropped. Yeah. So, yeah, you kind of cast a curse that one.
I guess I did. That's I did not see that SCV in position. And fortunately for MilkiCow, Strange did not either. So that's problematic.
As a Protoss player, do you think that Strange would even suspect this as an option, given he knows that the gas geyser has been stolen this entire time, and now he comes to the natural? Like, yeah, you still haven't established your natural. Like, what's going on here?
I think you can 100% determine it's an option. I don't know how much you're thinking into it though, but it does make a lot of sense, right? Because Hellions don't cost any gas, so they would still have enough to build a starport for sure. But I don't know if Strange is really thinking along those lines. Strange is currently thinking about what he's doing to MilkiCow, and that is Dark Templar rushing him. But the Hellion rush hits first.
Yeah, as a DT advocate, I will say this is a really painful place to be because, like you said, it's not only the Hellions hit first, it's the Hellions hit before the Prism pops out. So what ends up happening is you lose everything and they scout out the Dark Shrine. It's like the worst of both worlds. So, yeah. Do you guys like roasted robots? Because that's basically what this game is going to devolve down to now.
How does that make sense as well, by the way? They're literally robots. They're mechanical. They have, you know, not carapace, I guess is the word, but why do they burn so easily? I'm just asking because this game might already be over.
I mean,
21 probes.
Hasn't your GPU ever overheated? Clearly, they're just overheating and exploding, right?
Oh, that's a good point, actually. You know what? You got me.
That's why they explode.
I was just imagining trying to tear down a building with fire. It doesn't make any sense, but you're right. Scan does go down on one of the DTs, but the other one's still going to cause some havoc. No, we have a second scan already, JK.
We're actually going to have a third scan soon as well, so the second DT is staying alive for quite a bit of time over here, but there's even a engineering base finished up because he started the engineering bay during the Hellion drop, so he gets that up with the missile turret over the natural expansion, and now... I will say this other DT is doing some nice harassment and staying alive through the scans. It really is going to be a tough spot for Strange to come back from 21 workers to 36.
Yeah, we can actually game hard on this time around, which is a bit weird, but yeah, 21 probes died. That's a lot to recover from.
Didn't have the heart to see the workers killed in this game.
A little supply block from MilkiCow right there, and again another one. So it is messing up a little bit in the chaos, but... there's a lot more recovery for the Protoss in this. So even if he had returned the SCV damage, I don't think that would have actually been equivalent. It might have. I mean, just as far as the pacing of the game goes, it's always a bit weirder to talk about because the Terrans, you know, upgrading stim and combat shields and getting medevacs during the chaos, where the Protoss player, you know, they're not really getting that much better of units while they're doing the DT harassment, in my opinion. So,
yeah.
But they didn't get equivalent damage. This is a theory I don't even have to test. The point is, MilkiCow's in a much better position.
Truly, fully agree at this point, Zombie Grub. You, as the Protoss player, are really just looking for some kind of miracle harassment that can keep you alive. And I mean, the one nice thing is combat shields up until now has not been finished up. So that means that these Marines are not only gonna die very quickly to potentially an Archon, but also the DTs were one-shotting up. The SCV body block, though, prevented the Archon from getting the final hits off on these Marines.
Imagine that. Oh my god. And he loses everything. Oh. But I love the SCVs, literally body blocking, pure energy.
Yeah, actually, you imagine the real, you're right. If you imagine the real life scenario of two dudes in little machines made for mining operational things, and there's something almost the size of an Ultralisk, and they're just like playing like defense, like some kind of lineman in a football game.
Their coach is like, tackle him. And they're like, boss, so get it done. And they do, actually. The SCVs are pretty baller. And this is just I mean, the build orders did not match up right for Strange. Very unfortunate. But then everything else just, little closer. Would have been a little closer if some of the things had survived. So if the AT survived in their scan, if the Archon survived, the War Prism survived, we're still talking about some hope. But everything has gone wrong that possibly could go wrong. And for MilkiCow, he just got away with like a 20 health medevac because the universe is against Strange.
Yeah, everything is pain right now for Strange. Like, there's no other way to put it. There is, even if Strange is playing really, really well, if they're both playing even right now, Strange loses, right? Because it's just been playing from behind. So it's hard to look good when you just have fewer tools. It's unlike a fighting game. Like in a fighting game or something, maybe your health is lower, but you can just start playing like a god and you just can look okay because you still have all the tools available, right? Same tools, it's just your health bar is lower. In StarCraft, when you are behind, you just have less options. It's like, you just can't do very much now.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and this is really tough for Strange. Not this particular game. I mean, the position that he's now in. Let's just assume that this game does get wrapped up in MilkiCow's favor. This was, like, the two... Again, to be a little pessimistic, but of the two, if Strange were to win this series, he has maybe the stronger chance against his remaining players, as he's proven previously. But MilkiCow, he wins this 2-0. That's excellent because he didn't even drop a map. That's really important if he is looking for that 4th place. His remaining opponents are still big question marks. Like, he has to face Hero Marine, for instance. So like I said towards the beginning, if, MilkiCow is going to take this series, he's going to really need to carry this momentum. Like, keep this confidence. However he's feeling right now, I hope he's feeling like a real boss. Keep it and run with it. Because you know what? He did bring a lot of pain to Hero Marine in one of the DreamHack seasons. That was one of the ones he almost won against Hero Marine, even though he ultimately ended up not winning a series. And that was the sign of that MilkiCow could be a great player. And he's starting to form it here in this season. He's starting to get these Ws. He's getting this victory finally as a big Doom Drop heads on the main base. But he really needs to take this confidence and run with it because his remaining opponents are no slouches.
Yeah, absolutely. I just imagine Drogo somewhere out there going, yes, excellent, kill Strange so that I have a chance against you because I don't believe in you. And I just imagine during MilkiCow's future matches, Drogo somewhere in the background going, Kalimar, like trying to curse him because Drogo is the one that actually is sitting at a better map score and series score right now. I think he's sitting at 2-3 or 2-2 or something.
He's 2-3, yes.
2-3, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, Drogo is right now becoming the favorite to potentially advance on out right now.
Yeah. It's definitely not a done and dusted group, but if Strange were to lose this, it is. So that's why I was started off on this point, was that Strange knows that if he loses this, especially 2-0, then he really doesn't have a chance to make it into the playoffs. That's why he's fighting so hard. That's why he's not leaving the game. If it was a ladder game, he's already out of here. But this was really the chance he had to claw his way back into the playoffs. And it's gone now. Yeah, GG.
Well played by Milky.